I request you to kindly introduce our esteemed speaker.
Thank you, Sajani. I'll take my glasses off to read more clearly. Right. So, a very warm welcome to Minnku Buttar ji. How do I pronounce that ji? Minnku Buttar or
Buttar.
Butter?
Butter. Butter would be fabulous because I can then melt all the hearts, but it's butter. It's butter.
Okay. So Minnku Buttar ji is actually, when I read through her introduction, I'm amazed. I think she's really such an inspiration because she straddles both the material and spiritual worlds with a lot of success and with a lot of grace. As I read through, I'm sure you'll understand. Minnku Buttar ji is the founder of the successful brand Minxi, which has a national presence as well as an export presence in Switzerland, Spain, Malaysia, and Australia. Her artist streak shows up in the brilliant digital art transfers of her art on fabric, saris and scarves, lending panache and flair to capture and interpret specific color palettes, patterns, and prints for each season. So that's her artistic flair. That's quite often an indication of a sensitive person. Her efforts have always been to work with affordable and ethical materials to ensure livelihood to artisans in remote areas of India. As a fashion chairperson of Fashion Chapter of All Ladies League, her programs, keynote speeches, and article publications in many tabloids have been poignant in spreading messages about sustainability, eco-friendly options leading to sustainable lifestyle. She is also the founder of the Circle of Joy, a platform that brings self-mastery programs and retreats that help women seek solutions for the unneeded storms, to start living from an exhilarating space of confidence, clarity, and joy, and become unstoppable at anything they want to do in life. So now you can see where the inspiring part comes from. She is high on integrity and connectedness, and her ultimate purpose is to leave a legacy by touching lives with words of encouragement, inspiration, motivation, and action. That's the key, acting on our core calling. She is a recipient of the Women of Excellence Women Economic Forum New Delhi 2018, Women Iconic Leader 2020, Women Economic Forum Awards. She is currently the state president of the Karnataka Lifestyle and Fitness Improvement Council, WICCI, Women's Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and also serves as an advisor to MentorX and the Bhiman Trust for the Differently Abled. Her other roles include moderating and holding motivational talks on international panels, radio channels, and so on. She also speaks on international radio channels and is a published author in magazines such as The Business Week, Silver Talkies, and 360 Degrees Humans First. Wow, that's quite something. So really, we're very eager to hear what Minnku has to say. Over to you, Minnku, and a very warm welcome once again.
Thank you, Ramesh. And now it's over to you, Minnku.
Thank you so much. First of all, to Sajani for, I would start with thanks to the divine intervention, having Sajani across the table. She was thinking about me, and there I was having lunch right at the next table. We reconnected. It was wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, Ramesh, for that, leaving me with a realization that a dawning on the sun goes down on this beautiful 7th of April, that titles are so unnecessary. So I promise next time I appear anywhere, we'll keep all the descriptions and our accolades to maybe maximum of 6 lines. So apologies that everyone had to go through that.
Oh, it was wonderful. Please don't apologize.
Thank you so much. Okay, so I'm not sure how many people are here already, but let's start with this wonderful. I will try to make it interactive. So before we start, I would also suggest for everyone to grab a piece of paper and pen and attend to this. Let's take a 30 seconds right now. I think it will be beneficial if you want to take notes. I also am told that everyone who comes to the School of Ancient Wisdom are people who are on their way to the path of self-actualization and realization, people who have arrived, people who have gone through their journeys, and they are in a very contented space. So for me, I'm usually more used to talking to corporates, to individuals, people who are still healing and want to thrive. So I will try to bring my whatever I can share today so that it suits all of us present here today. Okay, so I just want us, since this is going to be very interactive, I invite you all to imagine a white rafting scene. Okay, you know how people go rafting? So imagine in your head, in your inner scene, that the raft guide is shouting. He says, everyone on the left, give me 3 strong strokes forward. Those on the left, dig in, pull the raft from the vortex. And now throw in your muscle, paddle, stroke forward. And for several hours, they learned the importance of listening to a guide's instruction. And through those difficulties, his steady voice enabled 6 people in that rafting experience to come out of it in the safest course of those rumbling waters, a raging, dangerous river in Colorado. Well, my dear friends, our life is like that right now, right? The uncertainty of COVID crisis has given those white water rapids, right? We are amidst worse conditions now. We have false expectations, and those hopes. Will life ever come back to normal? And how will we gain control once this crisis is over? So 1 minute, it's a smooth sailing. Next minute, it feels like we're paddling like mad to avoid the swirling whirlpools. So what I have realized, and I want to share this with you, and we will share, I think, the last 10 minutes, the way we will lead this session. Let's open it for a very nice interactive session where we can ask questions, and maybe I will go away having learned something from you. That's the way I like to lead my sessions. So coming back to this topic, a handful of mindfulness, and how can it lead us to a space of self-actualization? I am saying this. A shift needs to happen, not outside, but inside of us, right? And now, not tomorrow, not in the next moment. And I think there is nothing like mindfulness, as I have realized, and I'll share my story in a bit, how it came to my life. Now, as a lot of you well-read, wise people here today, Jean Kabat-Zinn, the master, said, the little things, the little moments, they are not little. And he also says that mindfulness is a way of really befriending, becoming friends with yourself, with your experience, with your emotions. How beautiful. We go through life resisting. We go through life very resentful. So my take on this, of what he says, is that no matter how established your personal practice, sadhana as we call it, we did these beautiful prayers today, no matter how established, sometimes you can do with a little extra inspiration. So here I am. And why did I, like Raveshji said, I had a successful fashion brand. I want you to understand and be aware that people will come into your lives left, right, center, and before you know, you have changed the course of your life. And I would love to hear stories in the end if there was any such person who in your life has inspired now. For in my life, there are two people who changed my life. One was a very interesting story, an old Okinawan Japanese lady. I met her in a fast train from Tokyo to, I think it was to Kyoto. And she explained to me the beautiful, beautiful concept of Ikigai, Kintsugi, and wabi-sabi. And I don't know how many of you know this, but I think Kintsugi is the most beautiful. And I will touch on it a little bit. The second is I have been to Kailash and Mansarovar. And in Mansarovar, Kailash, I had lack of oxygen and I wasn't up to too much of conversation. But in Mansarovar, I met this beautiful soul, a Buddhist monk. And we were sitting there, sitting by the edge of Mansarovar, and you know, Mansarovar has that beautiful energy. It gives you what you want. And my mission in this life is that I really want to head to a space where I can be in the Lord's feet. So I'm doing everything I can. You know, I would get up at 8 a.m., 9 a.m. And now, of course, I get up at 4 a.m. to do my sadhana. So I think we all hear answers which aid us on our journey, right? I'm sure you all agree. So this Buddhist monk said to me, he says, you know, we exchanged names, and he says, Minnku, and he was quite young, he was an old monk. And he said, Minnku, you have to empty the bowl. Sometimes imagine that you have a bowl and someone gave you silver coins. At the bottom was silver coins, but your water, your thoughts are so murky, right? We have picked up thought patterns, we picked up belief systems that don't serve us today. Really, they don't serve us today. So unless you take what is in the bowl and you fill fresh thoughts, and that's why we have these motivational talks. So I feel we should always be open to picking up new nuances, and we should always be open to ideas so that we become the one who is holding space for other people, so that you become the person who people want to hang out with, right? Being 40, 50, 60 doesn't warrant that your family wants to hang out around you. It just means that you have to really prepare yourself to be that beautiful soul that the whole family looks up to. So I hope that we will have this session with an open mind. I hope some of you will drop some preconceived beliefs about yourself, about others, so that we can fill our lives with clean water. So I'd like to start with a very beautiful surrender practice. If you will indulge me and indulge yourselves. So let's take a pause, and I invite you to take 2 to 3 deep breaths to fill our lungs with divine energy being offered to us right now, and let us together surrender the reins of this session to the divine source. So shall we do this? To whoever you pray to, it doesn't matter. Divinity is formless, right? It really goes beyond caste, gender, and ethnicity. That's what I believe. We need to be vested in a very collective human consciousness. And I'm so happy when you all, came with all these collective prayers today. So let's take one long breath. Let's inhale. And in the exhale, allow everything that has disturbed you for the last few days, for the last few months, the last few years, the last few lifetimes. Put that intent in that exhale to release it. Give yourself the permission to release it. Let's take the second one. Keep your focus, intention, attitude to wanting to release. Fill your stomach like a balloon and exhale. Oof. Release everything that needs to be released. Feel your body, your shoulders starting to relax. Maybe you're holding on to angst, to anxiety, to resentment, to anger. Release in the next breath. Take a breath in, hold, let's release it together as a Sangat. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. How I see everyone's videos are off. I love it if some of you can come back on with your videos so that I don't feel I'm the only one in speaking to myself. I always encourage that. How did you feel, Ramesh? Do you feel lighter? How did that feel?
I felt, I definitely felt lighter. I also felt more centered. I felt like some weight had come off, it's just blown off me.
Beautiful, beautiful. And I'll tell you why we did that. And can you imagine how quick it is to let go? We do not give ourselves the permission. We love the victim roles. We love to hold on to things because it really makes us feel special. And let me just tell you, thank you for coming on. I don't know. Oh, Babita, thank you. Thank you for joining us. The reason why we absolutely love victim stories, it makes us feel special. We feel like, oh my God, but I'm the victim, right? So when you do this breath in and you release, you actually, it is so instant. I also want to share with all of you that the universe right now, the cosmos, is on such a great speed of transmutation that the 24 hours have become 12. So imagine, be very, very careful of what you think because it happens. It will happen so fast. It's not like before. So it is not time to sit on the fence. You either this side or that side. So be very, very careful with your thoughts. That's the other thing I want to just say to you. Okay, now that you have your pen and paper. And if you're wondering why I chose this topic, of course, I loved my, Gurbani. I'm a Sikhni, but again, I'm a very global prodigy. So the wisdom of Gurbani teaches us to turn to the outgoing mind, take it and turn it within, and make it live in the eternity of now. And that's what that prayer meant, not in the memories of yesterday and the anxieties of tomorrow. Now is the best time to be alive. And also, most of the prayers that I heard today, it talks about the light of our individual consciousness that passes through a film of many, many memories, past memories, the vasanas, the tendencies, the dispositions, the undigested desire, prarabdhas as they call it, right? And what it does is when you're doing a prayer, it throws images on the screen of our brain. Okay, but because we human beings have very dilated state of brains, that picture is a little distorted. So when we sit in meditation, when we sit in Sathsangat, what happens is the clarity, that picture becomes very clear because now it's a collective consciousness. Okay, so that reality of the now becomes stronger, right? So I want to just throw this open to you, and Sajani, this question is for you. What is the one practice that we can adopt daily as individuals that will bring our true radiance back to us being the beautiful souls that we are? What is the one practice, if Sajani is there, or I'm just going to throw it over to Gulu Advani ji. What is that one practice you think that we need to bring us into being the brilliant souls that we are?
We need to meditate, I think, even if it's for just 5 minutes.
Yes,
we need to meditate.
Yes, and what about you, Guruji?
Get into that stillness of ourselves. It's extremely important because, as you said, the world goes around, it's buzzing around. And once we get into that stillness, we can really have a connect with ourselves.
Yes, yes. And I think it's also and this is only found in the silence, in the voice that we hear
Inside.
Not the noise, the voice, not the noise. Okay, so that is extremely important. Yeah. Guluji, what do you think? What is that one thing that you think we need so that we become the beautiful souls that we always were and then got a little lost on the way?
We need to have a positive attitude and be grateful for all the good things which one has, and also pray for good health, which is much more important than anything else. If you are healthy, you'll be able to do everything you want to do. Otherwise, you will be dependent on others.
And that's what pandemic. Thank you so much. Now, another thing that I'm trying to plant a seed here today is we need to learn how to be mindful. And once I have go through a few nuances with you, you will understand that even meditation is being mindfulness. It all starts by being mindful of your health. All that you spoke about, Sajani Guruji, this is all about being mindful. Once you're mindful, you can treat joy as our natural vibration. You can treat it as where you want to be, and that's why I call my company the Circle of Joy, because our most natural vibration is joy. So before I explain to you exactly what mindfulness is, now we might have all practiced mindfulness sooner or later, but now I'm going to consolidate it for you. I'm just going to take that same notion that you've done in bits and pockets and put it together for you. After today, you're going to be very, very conscious and aware of how you live, how you think, how you walk. So let me share a small story with you before we start that. I call it the balloon story. Okay. And this will explain how you can become such a complete person. When you're a complete person, you become a wonderful contributor to the world. So the story goes like this, that a professor gave a balloon to each student who had to inflate it and write their name on it and throw it in the hallway. He mixed all the balloons and he said, in 5 minutes, you have to pick up your own balloon. And you can imagine what chaos there was, right? Humans are so competitive, even as adults. I mean, imagine if all of us were in a room, we get so childlike, which is great, which is great. And so in spite of the hectic search, none of the 100 students found their balloon, even in the 6th minute. So at that point, the professor took this opportunity and he just said, to the students, take the first balloon and hand it over to the person whose name is written on it. Literally everyone did that because they all knew each other, right? And can you believe it? In 3 minutes, everyone had the balloon. So what is the moral of the story? That these balloons are like happiness. We will never find it if everyone is looking for just their own. But if we care about other people's happiness, we will find ours too. So that's actually a beautiful story that I love using. So we all need to work in harmony. Now, post-COVID, we have realized, forget it. It's not time to look just under our noses. What can you do for your neighbor? What can you do for your society? What can you do for the paralyzed families right now in Ukraine? So what can you do in your prayers? Do you just pray for your family members? Do you have it in you to start praying for the universe, for every affected area? But now, see, everything is a progress. What are we doing? We're joining the dots. If you want to be a contributor, right? You need some requirements. Imagine a fireman going to firefight wearing a doctor's overalls. No one will take it serious. So let's get the right structure. Let's get ourselves into the space where if you're a firefighter, people will understand that's your purpose, right? So if you want others to love being around you, if you want to contribute to the spaces, I'm going to share a recipe, okay? First is and maybe you want to take this down, and maybe you want to make this into a story for your grandchildren, for your children, for yourself, for your neighbor. Maybe when you go out for a walk with your friends, you want to share this recipe. So the first ingredient for this recipe to be joyful, to be mindful is create an identity. It is not handed to you. It does not mean that since you have children and now you might be a grandparent, grandmother, that automatically your identity is given to you. You can't tell a family member, give me one, I don't have one. You can't. Create your identity, which is a culmination of all your experiences. Now, to have an identity, you have to believe in yourself, right? What you say, ki yakin karo, atmanirbhar, bharosa, right? Now, to believe in yourself, you have to have self-esteem of ourselves, especially women. Women have gone through a whole lifetime of conditioning where their mother said to them, Are, you're not a good daughter if you're not very respectful, or you're not a good wife if you are not treating your family knew, family well. So we give away every ayat of ourselves, right? Now, how do you get your self-love back? Okay, that is one very important recipe. So your intention and how much attention and your attitude is the fourth thing. So if you want to be in joy, identity, belief in yourself, which is self-image, and intention, attention, and attitude. So let me take you to what exactly is mindfulness. And at the end of this session, we're going to do this most beautiful, beautiful exercise where I'm going to take you through forgiveness to a sense of gratitude. So mindfulness is about, now just hear this carefully, paying attention, simply noticing what is happening right now. If you're listening to me right now and you think, "Arey, dal nahi wo chadai maine," or "I have to make 10 chapatis, not 8." If you let your moment slide, if you let your attention go here and there, and you're not in this moment, then you are not being mindful. That means you have lost on listening, adopting, embracing something which might carry you so, so far away, right? So when you are in the moment, you're on listening on purpose, you're not judging. Like, what is it that I'm going to go away with today's session? You're not judging. You're just observing, you're a watcher, you're absorbing. Then you're being mindful. So what happens to your experiences when you start noticing these experiences? When you practice mindful, now this is beautiful, and just tell me if you relate to this. You learn to take pauses, right? In that pause, you learn how not to react. And when you don't react harsh, anger, you say things that make hurt others, or you're not confused, what happens? You can focus more on the situation on hand, right? Your outlook and perceptions to a problem changes, and the decisions you make are wiser. Do you agree with that? Do you agree with that, Rakesh?
Entirely. Yes.
Yeah?
Entirely, yes.
Yeah, thank you. So the other thing that happens is that you free up mind space. I cannot even tell you how much free. A lot of us we allow old stories to keep repeating like a broken record. Oh, usne aise bola, so many years ago. I will not forgive. It serves us. It fuels us. And we get worried about 100 things that has not even happened. Anxiety, right? And in this pandemic, fears, my God, fears of losing. And I'm not saying they're unjustified, but just learning to stay and saying to your mind, stop, 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 stop. Just be in the now. What can I do which serves me in this moment, right? And when you start practicing mindfulness, I always say this to my clients, that over time you realize that you have wasted so much of precious time focusing on unnecessary emotions, and the things that needed focus was left out. The third thing you will find by practicing is more of self-love. We all react too fast, right? When we hear things we don't want to hear, we say something back, we blurt it out, and we hurt people. And sometimes when people hurt us, it chupta hai. Yeah, a heart bleeds, right? And they always say that the wounds that are not seen are the ones that bleed the most. And it can take you days to bounce back, weeks, months, and lifetimes, right? So the other thing that happens is when you practice self-love and meditation, our meditation also becomes a deeper practice. Like, how you said, Sajani, meditation, pauses, silence, it becomes effortless. There is a beautiful quote that I always love quoting, and it says, "You come to love not by finding the perfect person, but by seeing an perfect person perfectly. How beautiful is that? So you will see by being mindful that your relationships with others changes. Okay, there's a lot of physical, there's a lot of psychological and social benefits that you become a witness to when you do this. So, my dear friends, you decide. Do you want increased compassion and kindness? Do you want stronger relationships? Do you want altruism? Do you want a higher level of satisfaction? You decide, right? Do you want to decrease stress and anxiety? You want improved health, like you said? You want to sleep better? You want to solve problems better? Then it is time to take control of your little moment now. So the glory, I always say, is yours. No one can take it away. And a friend of mine who's also a client, she's a client who's now a friend, she said something beautiful, beautiful that I always love to share. And she says, Minnku, she said, mindfulness for her is like being the best possible parent to yourself. Present, gentle, attentive, compassionate, and grateful. And I love that. Okay. So I'm just going to wrap that up so that I lead you through some exercises. I'm going to say in a nutshell for all of you who didn't understand all this time that you might have been practicing, maybe you need to practice, maybe you do get stuck in the past and the future, and this will be your tool to hold you in the moment. With mindfulness, you create a space between a strong emotion and an action. Let me say that. You create a beautiful space between a strong emotion and our actions. And when we pay attention to our thoughts, our feelings, we can respond in a clever way without hurting us or someone else. Our decisions are wiser, right? And the positive and negative experiences you talked about are dealt with calmly. And end of the day, if you had an awesome mindful day, you can pat yourself and say shabash. I think we all need to do shabash to ourselves so much. So again, I want you to reflect on this question. What is it that will take us to thrive beyond 2022? What is it? It will be self-awareness. That is a conscious choice to feel and act differently. It is to embrace a kintsugi. Can I just pause here and ask how many of you are aware what kintsugi is? Are you aware? Anyone who has their cameras off and maybe are brilliant at, using kintsugi concept in your lives? Would anyone like to, or is everyone got their cameras, they're off and they're busy making the rotis and the sabji for this evening? Maybe they're not even at the desk. So show me that you care. You show me you care for yourself. And yes, Babita ji, would you want to, yes, Babita ji, please share with me. Do you know what Kintsugi is? Otherwise, I'm happy to go. Hi, hello,
No,
hello.
madam. No, madam, I'm not aware of.
What, Sajani? No? Okay. I am
No.
so happy. This really makes my day. Here I am with a concept that none of you know, and here I was thinking like, oh my God, now what can I share with everyone who is so wise here? Because I really pay a lot of respect to each one of you who comes together for Satsangat, and to practice this for yourselves. Very beautiful. Please understand this and embrace it. I promise you, you will be a changed person. Now, Kintsugi is a Japanese concept of embracing our brokenness. Okay, it's a 400-year-old art born out of a mixture of feeling of regret when someone is wasted and marry this with the need to accept change. So, you know how our dishes sometimes crack, right? So what the Japanese do, in fact, is they take a lacquer resin and a powdered gold, silver, platinum, and they actually create and join those cracks. They put the dish together. And when you look at that beautiful, and it's very expensive, very expensive. It's like you look at it, you see a waterfall, you see a river, so what they do is they highlight the veins, they highlight the fault of that plate with gold. So it's a philosophy that is teaching us an act of awe, reverence, and restoration. Does that make sense? Where now imagine that us, all of us have flaws, all of us are broken. We have gone through so many experiences, right? Now, instead of hiding our imperfections, what if we proudly displayed them? What if we highlighted them? What if we were just exposing our vulnerabilities and admitting that we've erred in a relationship? It would create what? If you are brave and courageous to say sorry or to admit you have flaws, you will create intimacy. You will create trust in relationships. Uh, in fact, it fosters mutual understanding. It is a wondrous, wondrous, wondrous concept. So, by being brave and admitting mistakes, reaching for help, or being the first one to apologize, by keeping your ego to one side, imagine it is the most liberating thing you will ever do for yourself. So imagine yourself, isn't that beautiful? Like, imagine just being brave and saying, yes, I'm sorry, I was wrong. Or rather than letting your ego come in the way, imagine, yes, I've had these tragedies. Yes, I have these faults, but I am working on it. I'm going to hold myself up to the world. If we spend our energy being vulnerable and open versus trying to hide some secrets like skeletons in the cupboards, I think we will create a lot of mind space. How does that sound as a concept, Babitaji?
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think with these drawbacks, when I share, I would also be sharing how I have overcome them. It
Yes.
might have taken a day or sometimes more. So I think that would be a learning for the next generation or with whomever I'm
Absolutely.
speaking. So I think that would really make a lot of sense. I don't want my next generation to do the mistakes which I have committed.
Yes,
So
yes.
it's always better to learn from others' experience.
Yes, and
Thank you.
also, you're welcome. Also, Babityaji, remember that you can only share with the next generation. That's why I'm loving the fact that Rameshji's, his son is right here listening. What is your name, Bacha?
What's your name? Oh, he gets shy. His name is Omkar.
Oh, look at that, Onkar. Wonderful, wonderful name. So, what I want to say to you, all of you, before we go on to a beautiful exercise that we're going to do on forgiveness, which you will see how powerful it is, I just want to say that let's embrace, if we want to be self-actualized and if we want to realize our purpose in life, then I think it is very, very important. If you, like you said, Babita, you want to leave a legacy behind, or you want to be the healing agent, if I can say it like that, for your family and your friends, then I think it is very, very important to say to that, yes, I've made this mistake. Also remember, Babita ji, that after 18, if you interfere with the decisions that your children want to make, it is written in most scriptures that you're taking on their karma. I don't know if you knew that. You can guide them. You can be there when they fall. But after 18, they came to this earth to experience their experiences. And when you start making decisions which are not resonating with their vibrations, with their frequencies, you are taking on their karma and stopping them from what they came to earth. I think this is very important for us adults to do this. Okay, so one
It's
other
amazing.
thing. Yes, sorry?
That is amazing. I've never really kind of come across this before, but thank you. That was an eye opener.
Yes, it is true. It's written in many scriptures. You chose, Ramesh, your parents. Parents didn't choose you. So every child chooses which parents and which experiences they are coming for, and we must allow them to fulfill. Otherwise, it becomes a prarabdha, and you go through lifetimes trying to get rid of the karmic debt, as we call it. So it's very, very...
Kintsugi, Kintsugi, is the correct way to
Yes,
spell it?
yes, absolutely. I in fact want to share with you that this knowledge, Jayanti, hi, this knowledge that I gave, I actually have written a huge, a short chapter on it, and my interactions with this lady on a fast train. I wrote about Kintsugi. Please read up Wabi Sabi. You can write that down, Wabi Sabi. And the third concept is Ikigai. So when I moved from my fashion line to this, I embraced my Ikigai, which means I've married my purpose, passion, and profession. Okay, so Ikigai and Wabi Sabi, I wrote about this, and I'm very happy to share with all of you that my article got accepted in the Scholars Book of World Record. So I'm now a published author in a book of world records. And this is all on this concept and my conversation with this 99 Okinawan. 99, so she comes from Okinawa, Japanese island, where everyone is actually 100 plus. And she shared the secret of happiness and joy with me, right? Okay, so the one thing that I want to share with you is you have to teach your children as well is how to quieten the monkey mind. Okay, our ego is the one that interferes in everything we want to do, our self-imposed ego. So a very good way of taking, so our ego and thoughts are like monkey mind, right? So imagine a monkey jumping from tree to tree to tree. That's what our thoughts do. And that's what mindfulness does, is you quieten your mind. And a very good way of sending a message to the mind, all, please write to me, Sajani, if anyone present here tries this and it works for them. I'm going to give you the most simple formula ever. When too many thoughts overtake what you want to do in the moment, whether it's decision making and, oh, should I do this? Should I do this? Should I do this? Should I do this? And your conditioning of the world is taking over. Your ego, oh, how dare he say this to me? How dare she do this to me? In that moment of silence, when you want to capture, just say to your ego, whoosh, keep quiet and sit at the back of the room. That's all you need to do. Believe me, even I think I'm also a student of Phyllis Crystal. And Satya Sai Babaji actually said this to Phyllis Crystal, that the ego, all you need to do is tell it to sit at the back of the room. When your mind is running here and there, just say, just whoosh, sit there and get your moment back, get your silence back. So I invite you all to try that. And if it works for all of you, it would be fantastic. So how's it going for everyone so far? I hope I'm going to leave you all with some new. I would have really, really loved for Kashmira, Jasmine, Arun, Meena, all of you to have been more active, interactive. That would have been wonderful. Okay. So now I just want to emphasize on the silence that Sajani mentioned. You can share this story at bedtime with your son as well, Ramesh, the meaning and the importance of being silent. Okay, and then after that, we're going to do an exercise on forgiveness and then close the session. And I'm open to some questions. So once there was a farmer who discovered he'd lost a watch, which was really sentimental for him. So he searched in the hay, he's a farmer, he gave up, and then he saw some group of children playing outside, and he promised, he said, hey, you know what, the person who finds it will be rewarded. And all the children, excited, they hurried, went through the hay, but couldn't find it. And just when he was about to give up, the farmer was so disappointed because it was so sentimental. His wife had given it, his wife was no more. A very little boy said to him, sir, would you give me another chance? And the farmer looked at him and said, why not? He looks sincere enough. So he sent the boy back. And can you believe it? Just after a few minutes, the boy came and handed him the watch. And he was so surprised. And he said, "Oh my God, the rest failed. And how did you find it?" He just said, "I did nothing. I just sat on the ground and listened for the watch. Tick tock, tick tock. In the silence, I heard the ticking and I just looked for it and I found it." So the message of that is a peaceful mind can think better than a worked up mind. Okay, so my mental clarity is extremely important. It's very important to silence the mind. So I would like you to do a little bit of self-reflection if you're open for it. Are you up to it? Are you up to it?
Yes,
Oh,
certainly.
yes.
Yes,
Definitely.
yes.
Yes? Okay, let's do this. Let's do this. Okay, I would like you right now to choose a very difficult situation you have gone through recently, a challenge, and either you can write it down or I give you this next 30 seconds to just think of it. We are all going through challenges times, and write down how you reacted to it. What emotions did you feel? Did you love the victim role? Did you say, "How dare they?" Or, "Oh my God, what am I going to do now?" Did you get stuck with that story? Or did you hold those emotions and thoughts loosely? Were you courageous, compassionate to yourself and to the person who caused you maybe a lot of distrust, caused you a lot of pain, or just the difficult situation? Did you curse that you had to go through it? So just take a moment to either write it or think it. And I really invite you all to take advantage. You are here, you've dedicated your time. In another 4 minutes or 5 minutes, you'll be done. So write down, how did you react to it, or just think of it. I think I'm going to invite maybe ask Arun Malhotra's to mute themselves. It's a little distracting. Think of a difficult situation that you struggled with, or a difficult person that you have struggled with recently. It could be your boss, it could be a colleague, it could be a family member. And how did you react? And I gave you benchmarks. Are you still fuming over it? Are you still going to hold it to your heart and not be able to be in the right relationship with that person or the situation? You have no lack of clarity. Take the next 30 seconds.
Arun, kindly put yourself on mute.
I think they're not at the desk, maybe.
Swati, will you please mute Arun?
Yes, ma'am, I'll do that.
I think Arun Malhotra ji definitely needed to be on this session because there's so much noise around him. And if he had given himself this opportunity to have this wonderful moments of silence, I think something would have evoked. You know, sometimes in the silence is when you get answers download, because you're connected to your higher consciousness so beautifully that you know, we run around seeking validations. I'm not good enough, but how can I take this decision? Which decision to make? Actually, what happens is you receive the answers from yourself. That, I mean, I've experienced it. Okay, so now I want you to think of this. You've written this down. Now, Imagine your 10-year-old grandson or daughter or your son is standing in front of you and repeating the same kind of emotional challenge, that they're really hurt by a school friend or a teacher or another child. Imagine kind of a similar situation. What advice would you give them on how to tackle that situation? What advice? Did you apply the same advice to yourself? Or did you, from the 10-year-old that you were one day to the present age, did you imbibe things along the way that perhaps are not serving you? So who would unmute and share this with me? Is how you reacted and what advice you would give to your child on how to react to similar situation. Was it different or is it the same? Ramesh ji, I am so thankful. I'm in gratitude to you and then Sajani and then, Babita ji to just hold fort. Otherwise, this would have been a monotone, me speaking. I recently spoke to 5,000 global people for Dell.
Wow.
Yeah, I had a data of who logged on from where, and yet they had muted thing, and it felt like, oh, who am I speaking to? And I love interactive sessions. So, okay, so Ramesh ji, tell me, and if you're not comfortable, you don't have to share the situation, but was your advice? Yeah, please go ahead. It'll help everyone.
I can definitely share it. In fact, it was an incident that happened just last week. But I must also tell you that I'm very sure our other Satsangi family really value what you're saying. Some of them are the strong silent type, so they don't participate, visually. Okay. Now, regarding this experience last week, it was with one of my earlier family members. She needed help and she called up, but then there were a lot of, I noticed a pattern that was there in our childhood that came up where I felt really hurt because there were multiple accusations being made. And I noticed a pattern because I kept, though my equipoise was leaving me and I was beginning to get pulled in, I still kept my silence, and I observed the pattern where after the accusations, it'll be I would not be allowed to speak. There'll be the same message being delivered again and again. So there was a feeling of incomplete communication and hurt and so on. Now, what I did in that situation was I did turn it around. Actually, we ended up on good keel. But now, if my little one was standing in front of me and he exhibited the same behavior, what I would do first is I would just, because here I would not be heard. So I would first get him to stop by maybe a loving gesture, like giving him a hug or something like that. And then, in a gentle manner, explain that just calm down, let go, and let's find a way to deal with the situation so that if it happens again, you will come away happier. And that is very empowering.
That is extremely empowering. What an amazing shift. And seriously,
anyone else would like to share?
Yes, that is
Kashmira,
amazing.
Meher,
Yes,
Revati.
sure,
Yes,
Sajani.
Cashew, please share.
Meher, so many.
It's over to you, Kashmira.
Yeah, thanks, Saj.
Hi, Kashmira.
Yeah, hi. The reason I'm not putting on the video is because I'm in my comfortable clothes right now. I've been just
No
running all day
worries,
long.
no worries. I just wanted everyone to go away with some takeaways. Please
Yeah.
go ahead. Yeah.
So, like you said, funnily, just a couple of weeks ago, I had brought some beautiful plates from America in my hand baggage that broke. And I've given them to a friend of mine, a bowl and 3 plates with wordings on it, because I had heard about this Japanese method of putting the broken plates together, but I didn't have the colorful glue. And yes, we as human beings, a lot of us are broken in different forms and different ways. Some of us can be glued together. Some of us can't. I have a big mouth, so I just say whatever I feel like saying right up front. I don't give that pause. In the past, I've lost a few friends on the way. But the funny part is, because I am so honest with my feelings, just recently, a friend who had broken away from me, she sent me a message and said to me, Kashmira, you're one of the most honest people I've met. Thank you. So I think
I celebrate you, Kashmira.
So it comes back. It comes
Yes,
back, you know.
yes, yes. So, Kashmira, my interpretation of that beautiful experience, thank you for sharing and being vulnerable and brave and courageous about it. So, Kashmira, one thing that happens is when something like that happens, where you broke something material, and hearts break as well. And the best experience to grow stronger is, of course, your plates broke. So there is a learning in that. And the fact that you are happy to still have them, that means the intactness, the essence of a person translated into plates, that really means a lot, because you're still going to have them and you're accepting them with the flaws. Okay. And that is really, really your big heartedness. And I would like to correct you, it's not a big mouth. When someone who is so honest, and I call this authenticity. When someone is so authentic in what they say, how they feel, and of course, we should not step on other people's golden spaces and hurt them, not give unneeded advices. There's so many criteria, right? But let me tell you, Kashmira, the fact that you're honest and authentic, only the people who you need around are the ones who recognize you for your golden heart. You actually don't even need anything that is creating conflict. Otherwise, you will go through life indulging into what I call conflict resolution, which happens with biases as well at workplaces, right? So I think just stay who you are, Kashmira, and say whatever. It's empowering as long as it doesn't hurt people. Your honesty will show through, like clear, like that bowl that I mentioned with the silver coins. So people who really love you will love you. So thank you for being you.
Thank you.
So I'm just going to take this now to almost the last 3 minutes, because I know that everyone has plans after this. Okay, so I'm going to capture this all for all of you very quickly, and I want to take you through one forgiveness exercise that you will use again and again in life. Okay, one is hit your pause buttons. Second, learn how to label your thoughts and emotions. If you all can look into, Google it out. I actually run a whole session on learning how to identifying your emotions. Today there was no time. See the emotion chart. Sometimes when we think we are we have rage. Actually, you might be just angry, frustrated. So it's like a recalibration. When we calibrate and identify the emotion, we don't feel so strongly about it. Okay? It's like you don't fan the emotion. So acknowledge, accept yourself, accept your feelings, be empathetic, compassionate, show up as you are in the world. Also, never run away from difficult feelings. I sincerely tell you all that when you experience them, find a way to respond and not react. Respond and never react. Become a detached observer. So this is, of course, part of being emotionally intelligent, right? And of course, meditate. If you are in a practice of meditating at 5 minutes, and again, it's a personal choice. There is no do's and don'ts in meditation. We grew up from that generation. I say, bat na hai, you sit like this, don't fidget, don't move. No, I feel like you want to put your legs out and sit on a sofa and meditate, and you're connecting with your higher consciousness, and you can do it. Okay. So just reduce the activity in the brains, me. That's all you need to do, the ego, right? And then, as you know, we are at such a crossroad of humanity. It's not about me, it's not about you, it must be about us. We must find out ways how to serve others. And when we do that, we find ourselves as well, okay? So I want to lead you all through a beautiful exercise of mini forgiveness. Okay, so if you can all just sit down the last 2 minutes before we do a countdown, and this is the most powerful exercise ever. I invite you to think of someone who caused you pain. Not the one who's hurt you most, pain. Something that might have lingered for many years. Someone that you hold a grudge against. Don't judge them right now. Just come up with that feeling that you might have swept under the carpet. Visualize that time when you were so pained by this person and feel the pain that you still carry. Feel it. And I invite Arunji also. I saw him come on a while ago. Everyone, just feel it. Even acknowledge where you're feeling it in the body. Think of that emotion that does not allow you or is spanning your unwillingness to forgive. Just observe that the emotion is present. What are you feeling? Is it anger? Is it resentment or sadness? I invite you to use your body as a barometer and notice where are you feeling. Is your breath getting faster thinking about it? Are you starting to frown? What is it that you're feeling? What are your thoughts like right now? Are they hateful, spiteful, or something else? Now, feel this burden and baggage that you are carrying and ask yourself, who is suffering? Answer for yourself. Who is suffering? Ask yourself, have I carried this burden long enough? Am I willing to forgive? And if the answer is no, that's okay as well. Some wounds need more time to heal than others. Self-love. But if you are ready to let it go, silently repeat. Please take this opportunity. It's the most liberating exercise. Take a breath in and repeat after me. Breathing in, I acknowledge the pain. Breathing out, I am forgiving and releasing this burden from my heart and mind. Sit with this for a few seconds. Breathing in, I acknowledge the pain. Breathing out, I am forgiving and releasing this burden from my heart and mind. Feel it, feel it. You are capable as such a high elevated soul to let go today. Just let go. And if this time was not enough, sit with the same emotion before you go to bed and get up a new person tomorrow, having forgiven. So let's come back in the present. I'd like to conclude today's session saying even in the darkest of times, there is light, and where there is light, there is hope. Maybe we will not go back to the normal. Normal was never was. But we are being given the opportunity to switch to a new garment, one that fits all humanity. So I want to finish with a quote from Keanu Reeves, one of my favorite actors. Here comes 50 or 60, I'm feeling my age and I've ordered the Ferrari and I'm going to get the whole midlife crisis. On that loving note, I finished my session today. Thank you so much. I hope that was value and I have been instrumental in helping you start a new journey. Thank you so much.
So much,
Thank you.
Minnku, for a wonderful session. And let's ask people if they'd like to ask a few questions. Any questions, anyone? Kindly unmute yourself and ask your question. Any questions?
I have a question.
Minnku?
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
Hi,
Meena
Meena
here.
ji. Meena ji, welcome.
Yeah, I just wanted to say this. I love the way, the pleasant, smiling way of your expressions. And, it makes the whole thing so beautiful.
Thank you.
And of course, letting go of things is all that we learned always, in our Vedic scriptures also. And we do stress that nothing to hold on. There is nothing to hold on, actually. Everything is changing, and we all change.
Thank you, Meena ji. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I actually, in fact, I wanted to ask all of you this. So since now we are interacting, I'll quickly ask you, what is your idea of joy?
A kind of a contentment, a fulfilling feeling that I am actually complete. No one can make me complete. Basically, I am complete. So, and everything that I do or try to do, feel that there is joy in what I'm doing. I mean, that's the way I plan to do things. And that's the way I look into it and I do the things. So that gives me some happiness all the time.
Yes, yes. So I really applaud your understanding. Desmond Tutu actually says happiness is like a butterfly that flits from flower to flower, whereas joy is a very deep, sacred, spiritual feeling and an experience. It's a very sustained one, and it comes from inside out. So I think you completely cracked it, completely beautifully said that. Thank you so much for experiencing, and thank you so much for coming back on and telling me you loved the session. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Kindly unmute yourself. Anybody else?
Yeah, I have a question.
Questions, suggestions, anything?
Not a question,
Saju.
Saju.
Yes.
I just want to say that I really enjoyed. I'm relaxed after this session. So thank you very much.
You're so welcome. You're so welcome.
Right. Anyone else?
Yes, I think Ramesh wants to, or we'll allow Meher.
Yes,
Yeah.
Ramesh.
Meher, you want to say something?
Sorry, Ramesh, I'm butting in.
That's all right.
No, go ahead, Meher.
I just want a repetition of that last phrase, Minnku, please. The breathing in, I release the burden.
Yes. So the mini, the practice. Yeah.
No, just the phrase that you use, to repeat at night.
Okay. So why don't I put it in the chat for everyone?
That would be great.
Okay.
Just tell me that breathing in,
Here
I
it
release
is.
the
Here
burden.
it is. You can take a snapshot.
Sure, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
All right. Ramesh ji, please.
Ramesh, you had a question.
Yes, I did. Actually, it was about those the Japanese words that you used. Ikigai, of course, I'm aware of being an automotive designer. We sometimes look for the purpose behind the design. So I'm aware of that. It is used in automotive terms as well. But the Kintsugi, you mentioned that was to rejoin, or rather acknowledge our faults and heal. Is it? What exactly does it mean, Kintsugi?
Right. So it's a very deep spiritual exercise, an experience which actually says that embracing your brokenness, right? It's about exposing your vulnerabilities and admitting your errors and your flaws and still flaunting it and still feel beautiful without any fear of judgment. Okay, so or being the first to apologize in an argument or a misunderstanding. So it is just that imperfections are gifts to be worked on and not shames to be hidden. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. And I think we need to teach our next generation to go beyond good, beautiful, bad, and ugly.
And how is it different from Wabi Sabi?
See, Wabi Sabi is to just, it's a place of where you arrive, right? Wabi Sabi is a little, Kintsugi is the brokenness, and Wabi Sabi is a state of being where you arrive having embraced the brokenness.
Okay.
Okay, so they always talk about that. So anything else? It's WABISABI, Wabi Sabi. So please do read about it. It's a huge, huge, huge. Many people have written very, very nice, beautiful books on it. I think it starts with Kintsugi. You arrive at Wabi Sabi, and then you find Ikigai, in that order. Yeah. Okay. All right. So if everyone's good now, maybe we can close this session.
Okay, I request Ramesh to kindly propose a vote of thanks, followed by the prayer.
Thank you, Sajani. Where should I start? Minkuji, that was really very nice. While the participation may seem a bit muted when it comes to the videos and the audios, you can rest assured that people are really participating. You can see it in the chat, their reactions. And it was a very nice, refreshing session. I think the most powerful part of it was the exercise in forgiveness. I did jot down some very useful notes. You started off with, Kintsugi, Wabi Sabi, and Ikigai as terminologies. And then you went on to the universal awareness that we all keep revisiting, that silence is the essence, to hearing the voice of our own soul. And the best way to do that is to be in the moment. And so therefore, handful of mindfulness, which is what we spoke about today in our satsang, is the essence. The essence of that really is the silence, the language of the soul. So, you said it was a very nice thing when you said be mindful. Joy becomes the natural vibration. And that was a very nice way of putting it. That is, I think it came from your creativity. We really enjoyed the balloon story. I mean, that it really is a very good, example of how we can be happy by making others happy, rather than trying to make ourselves happy, which is a very important lesson. And as you can see right now, even as I talk, these points, I paused naturally in between. It's so much of joy to complete this acknowledgement. The joy recipe, right? Now, creating an identity where you believe in yourself and you raise your self-esteem. It depends on your intentions, what you pay attention to, and your attitude. And when you're mindful, you learn to take pauses. These were other learnings that I got from our session today. And of course, I mean, this is something that we have revisited oftentimes, and we can't revisit it enough, where you said respond instead of react. Be a detached observer. That is, I think, an ongoing challenge for all of us. And your program today put us in touch with that once again. Self-love, that was very interesting. In Dharma, when they talk about cleanliness, austerity, mercy, and truth, we talk about mercy because we're all human and we all make mistakes. And the first step is to forgive ourselves and recommit to the higher ideal.
Yeah.
And once we do that, that love for oneself that springs out naturally leads to respect and love for others. So that's a wonderful revisitation too. And therefore meditation becomes more deeper and effortless when you are mindful. So of course, to just talk about the three terminologies that you used, you said Ikigai, no, sorry, the Kintsugi, accepting our flaws and embracing our brokenness is the key. I think the Japanese do it in a very nice, artful way. I've read about this before. And wabi sabi is where you come to once you accept your flaws, and then you arrive at your ikigai, which is the purpose in life.
Yeah.
Okay, so the story of a peaceful, where you said a peaceful mind thinks better and than a worked up mind. I think we're all very familiar with that. And and also, it's very interesting that you spoke about joy and happiness, because just this month we had released a magazine, and the theme was joy and happiness, and the very similar distinction. Yes, and in fact, you'd be surprised to know we made a very similar distinction. That joy is a deeper, more
Spiritual.
fulfilling experience that comes from within, and happiness is I mean, you mentioned a butterfly very nicely, but you flit from one experience of happiness to another. So really, that sums up the way you've aligned with where we all are also. So thank you so much for bringing that value to this program today and for uplifting all of us. And for your forgiveness, I actually experienced a lightness and a feeling of upliftment within. So thank you for that powerful forgiveness exercise. And thank you for this.
Thank you. If I can just say thank you so much. Joy and happiness. My article is appearing in Business Week next week. It's about joy and happiness, and I'm actually the one that's been invited from all over India to be the first writer in this new edition that has started on wellness.
Oh, wonderful.
So really enjoyed to share that with all of you. So I
Congratulations.
think thank you so much. I also, before I forget, because this comes from, I get a lot of downloads. So Rameshji, there's another way which I have learned from Phyllis Crystal, and I'll take a minute, is that anger or that hurt which you are not able to release, and this goes for everyone, that we are holding on to. I actually, next time I can come in whenever you want to invite me again and teach you this practice of how to connect, first of all, with Phyllis Crystal's, how you connect. And these are non-religious, non-spiritual practices. How to connect, they're more, I think, holistic, right? How to connect with your higher consciousness. There's a way of doing it. And then you seek an object in your inner scene. So when you say, okay, that hurt, or that toxic relationship, or whatever you need to cut ties with. So we do cutting the ties that bind. And then that object, you will be so surprised. It could be a toxic relationship also. Object will come in your mind, and then you will seek your higher consciousness to find a tool how to sever it, and the tool will also come. And the most unbelieving people are floored. Loads of right mind people who have a resistance to anything with the left brain also are floored how this happens, because the answers are all, how sometimes you say, give me an answer, and you'll all of a sudden see the answer on a billboard or something, so those kind of things. So your communication, I can share tools on how to stay connected with your higher consciousness 24/7. And that's a beautiful one that we can do next time. And so the object
probably have it, Minnku, at the school. We can have,
yes,
one day workshop.
That would be fantastic. And then you sever with it. And when you sever with it, it will be severed forever. So that you can do, we can do that as an exercise. So also, my last word to everyone, I am on YouTube, Minnku Buttar, exactly the same spellings with a double N. I have just started my talk show. I'm on episode 15, and I interview influencers from around the world, and I published on the 1st and 15th of each month. You will find just 30 minutes of very, very powerful talks where we choose a theme on values. We've talked about communication. We've talked about angels. We've talked about spiritualism. We talk about workplace, everything. And these are influencers with few 100,000 followers that I interview. So please like, subscribe, and press that bell icon so that you get updates 1st and 15th. So thank you so much. Have a very joyful evening.
Thank you. Now we will have the Loka Samasta.
Sure, Sajani. So on that note of gratitude and mindfulness, let us all sit straight with our back, neck, and head aligned. Take a deep breath and let go. Center yourself with the silence within. As we chant the Loka Samasta, send out prayers of healing, of love, and of higher consciousness to your communities, to the needy people, and also to the whole world. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat Brahmarpanamastu.
Thank you, Ramesh. Thank you, everyone, for being with us.
Thank you.
And thank you so much, Minnku. Next Thursday, we've got Building Healthcare, on spiritual values. Do join us and do ask your friends to join us also. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you. Good night. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you so much too. Good night.